If you're watching this, the chances are you play video games. But why do you play video games? The answer to that question can vary from person to person. Some play to challenge themselves and revel in stiff competition offered by other players. Others play to be whisked away to incredible worlds and forget reality. And some people just want to kill some time. All of these things, though, in their own ways, are therapeutic. For something to be therapeutic, it has to have a healing effect, and games can achieve this in a number of different ways, be they calming, fulfilling, or just darn satisfying. We here at Team TripleJump have amassed a selection of titles that just hit that spot in some way, and may well leave you feeling much better following your gaming session than you did before it. So, sit back, put your feet up, and prepare to be healed by my own soothing tones as I take you on a therapeutic digital journey. I'm phonic masseuse Ashton from TripleJump, and here are 10 video games that are weirdly therapeutic. Number 10, Dwarf Romantic. Have you ever sat down and finished a jigsaw puzzle on your kitchen table? There's something very healing about putting all those pieces together, right? That is, until you get stuck sifting through identical bits of sky, or catch your dog eating a corner piece. Dwarf Romantic, created by Tucana Interactive, offers this satisfying jigsaw puzzle building feeling and so much more without the risk of missing pieces. Players who sit down for a session of Dwarf Romantic can expect to be treated to soothing piano tones, spirit-lifting birdsong, and the ability to create sprawling hex-based maps of idyllic countryside in a stress-free score-chasing environment. The idea of the game is to link different terrain types, such as rivers, villages, and forests, together as much as possible, while completing procedural tasks that pop up to link a certain amount of the same tile type. And all the while, a delightful map grows before your eyes, that'll end up looking like those aerial photos you see on the walls of village pubs. The combination of low-pressure gameplay and satisfying hex linking, along with the visuals and ambience, makes Dwarf Romantic a delightfully calming and satisfying experience that's sure to lift your spirits and might even make you feel a bit dwarf romantic yourself. It's an old German word, just look it up. Number 9, Tiny Glade. Another low-stakes building sim now, but this time on a much smaller and thus more detailed scale. Created by indie developer Pouncelight, Tiny Glade calls itself a diorama builder and provides excellently satisfying, low-effort gameplay with an engine that somehow manages to create something whimsical and beautiful, no matter how clumsy and ham-fisted your approach. With no resources or goals to speak of, Tiny Glade players will find themselves plopping buildings down into idyllic woods and meadows, and stretching, modifying, and adding to them to their heart's content, eventually creating anything from a sleepy medieval-style village to a mighty fortress with banners and battlements. Building is made very easy with minimal fiddling required, unless you want to get fiddly, and the game knows exactly what to do to make your creation look picturesque and believable as you experiment. Tiny Glade's technical quality and soothing environments make for some very zen gameplay, where players can happily scatter a few quick houses around with satisfying results, or go completely crazy and recreate Rivendell or Hogwarts or something. And if all else fails, just pat the sheep and ducks on the head. What could be more therapeutic than that? Number 8, Unpacking. Moving house is stressful. Everything costs more money than you'd expect, tight time constraints must be met, heavy things must be hefted, and you'll probably be living from boxes for months afterwards. What if you moved house for someone else though? And what if you didn't have to worry about all the stressful stuff and could concentrate solely on the fun and satisfying bits? Well, that's what Witchbeams' 2021 release, Unpacking, offers. Sink into a state of perfect tranquility as you remove items from boxes and place them tidily inside cupboards or onto cabinets in a world presented in beautifully neat and eye-catching pixel art. Put books tidily onto shelves and stack toilet rolls neatly under sinks, while possibly being surrounded by rampant mess and disarray in real life, but hey, it's easier to tidy up when all you need to use is a mouse pointer. Unpacking also offers a dash of another, perhaps less wholesome activity that many may find therapeutic, that of prying into other people's lives. Throughout the game's duration, players will be able to piece together the life story of the unseen protagonist, expertly told through her stuff stuff and the accumulation and subtraction thereof. Do you find being nosy therapeutic? Then Unpacking is the game for you. Number 7, Power Wash Simulator. Sometimes the idea behind therapeutic games can be very simple. Take a thing that's therapeutic in real life and turn it into a game. Power Wash Simulator initially comes across as another one of those random sim games that seem destined to appeal to a very niche audience. But the more you think about it, the more you realise that the team at Future Lab had an ingenious concept on their hands that resulted in a game that's ideal for those looking for a bit of digital therapy. Power Wash Simulator is very simple. Wield your mighty power hose with various adjustable nozzles and use it to clean the numerous dirty things that the game presents you with. Players are put into the watertight boots of an owner of a small power washing business in a fictional town of Muckingham, and are encouraged to take on a number of jobs, from cleaning a van to sprucing up a playground to hosing down a fire station. And all the while a satisfying ding will sound as sections are successfully scrubbed. Honestly, the only way they could have made it more therapeutic was to somehow recreate the feeling of that cloud of excess water vapour alighting onto your face on a hot sunny day. Heavenly. Number 6, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Sometimes, when the world is getting you down and things are becoming too much, you just want to get away. It doesn't really matter where, as long as it's somewhere different. A secluded beach with golden sand, or an isolated windswept moor, or maybe an island outside the realms of reality, populated by strange, adorable little animal people who spend their days catching bugs and digging up weird little musical statues. While Nintendo's Animal Crossing series has been around since 2001, Animal Crossing New Horizons is by far the most successful entry, and is the most forthright with the escape from reality theme too, with its entire setup revolving around starting a new, simpler life on a deserted island. Animal Crossing New Horizons offers escapism, but also a comforting routine, giving the player the opportunity to live among their weird but generally non-judgmental animal friends and become addicted to a low-stakes gameplay loop of menial tasks and the gradual accumulation of precious things. It's definitely therapeutic, and when you consider what was going on in the world when Animal Crossing New Horizons was released, it was the kind of therapy that a lot of us really needed. Thanks Tom, Blathers, Isabel and the rest, you helped us through some tough times. Number 5, Satisfactory. The next game on our list is Coffee Stain Studios' Satisfactory, and with a name like that, you're probably going in expecting a somewhat therapeutic experience. Luckily, it delivers that in spades, and if you're willing to put the work in, lives up to the factory part of its moniker too. Satisfactory puts players in the enterprising shoes of a pioneer who's been dropped onto an alien planet with a handful of tools and must begin the task of extracting the planet's resources. This is initially achieved through manual interaction, but will eventually lead to huge and complex automated systems that extract, combine, and ship without you having to lift a finger. It's a fascinating and engaging process that guarantees to replace all the real-life worries in your head with thoughts of conveyor belt networks and shiny new upgrades. Of course, there are some less than wholesome implications behind the activities you'll be completing in Satisfactory. You're producing copious amounts of product for an apparently galaxy-spanning corporation, which it is using for unknown purposes, and you're absolutely ravaging a beautiful, untouched planet's natural resources to do so. But try not to think about all that, okay? Just look at the conveyor belts carrying all that stuff. Truly satisfactory. Number 4, SnowRunner. SnowRunner is part of the Spin Tires series that first appeared in 2014 and was developed by Saber Interactive. In the game, you visit various out-of-the-way environments around the world and do odd jobs for local businesses. The kind of odd jobs that require 20 metric tons of heavy-duty truck to get done, like hauling enormous trailers up mud tracks or pulling other trucks out of rivers. Not only does SnowRunner offer that feeling of isolation that can be so therapeutic in our busy world, but it's also got some extremely satisfying mud and snow physics going on, and there's nothing quite like that moment where you finally get something unstuck. You'll often find yourself sinking into the mud in SnowRunner, especially early on, but that's just where the fun begins. As you adjust the differential, deploy the winch, and even make use of other trucks in your collection to finally get that wheeled warrior out of the mire. It's like pulling off a scab, but with less blood and more exhaust fumes. Of course, all this muck sliding ends up making these mighty pieces of hardware delightfully filthy. All we need now is a Power Wash Simulator crossover to get the vehicles all sparkly again. Now there's an idea for the next game. Are you listening, Saber Interactive? Number 3, Dungeons 4. Carrying on the legacy of the equally therapeutic but sadly disgraced Dungeon Keeper series, Realm Forge Studios have so far reached number 4 in their Dungeons franchise, which allows players to meticulously create a deadly, trap and creature-filled dungeon for the local heroes and do-gooders to meet their ignominious demises in. Gameplay takes place on 2 levels: the underground, where dungeon rooms are built, riches are unearthed, and nefarious plans are hatched, and the overground, where minions are sent into the sunlight to do battle with the local men, elves, and dwarves, and bring ruin to their shiny kingdoms. Obviously, it can be therapeutic to be the bad guy sometimes, and Dungeons 4 is careful to paint its heroes in enough of an obnoxious and self-righteous light that you won't feel too guilty about doing so, but it's in the act of creating the dungeon where the real therapy lies. There's just something really satisfying about marking a series of rooms and corridors for excavation, and then leaning back in your comfy chair and watching as your hapless, overworked minions rush to do your bidding, picks in hand. You can even give them a little slap if they're not working hard enough. Sometimes it's good to be the overlord. Number 2, Death Stranding. In Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima's strange apocalyptic tale, players take on the role of Sam Bridges, a porter tasked with delivering important supplies to isolated settlements across the game's dangerous, desolate, but often breathtaking open world. Players will not only have to make these perilous journeys, but also ensure that Sam is loaded up in a way that will minimise damages and loss of cargo, as this is how you'll be judged and rewarded when the delivery is complete. Death Stranding might seem like an odd choice for a therapeutic game, with its strange and deadly entities out in the wilds and bizarre concepts that some gamers might find off-putting, but the zen-like gameplay of getting from A to B across these incredible landscapes has an intangible healing quality to it that has caused many to experience Death Stranding-inspired catharsis. Perhaps it's the game's subtle online component, which populates the world with telltale signs of other players' journeys, that makes Death Stranding so therapeutic. That feeling of being alone, but also knowing you're not truly alone, because other intrepid delivery men are struggling through the world unseen, just like you. It's kind of beautiful, really. I guess that Kojima fellow is pretty clever after all. And number 1, Doom. You know what can be therapeutic? Blasting things. It's alright, you can admit it. We've all had those days where all you want to do is get home and violently eviscerate hordes of enemies. To represent this particular act of self-care, we've gone with the almighty Doom, and this can apply to the 1993 original or the 2016 reboot. The thing about Doom is that there are no grey areas or moral ambiguity. It's just you, a selection of terribly satisfying guns, and the amassed forces of hell to point them at. You're not killing soldiers with families, or aliens indoctrinated into some false galactic religion. You're facing off against the sadistic forces of hell, the actual epitome of evil, and there's absolutely no reason to ever consider holding back. By stepping into the bulky armour of Doom Guy, we're stepping into the ultimate power fantasy. Unrepentant violence awaits, and with gameplay that encourages you to constantly press the attack, there's very little faffing to interrupt it. So, if you got into an argument at the supermarket today, or your boss was being a jerk, there's nothing quite like booting up Doom and taking out all of your frustrations on imps, hell knights, and cacodemons, and feeling your troubles vaporise alongside their demonic entrails. Rip and tear until it's done, and then relax. Go on, you've earned it.